Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with an unplanned video because I have not been having remotely good results at the moment. I've had a pretty rough week now, and I just want to play a session, collect some of my thoughts on video for some of the guys who are being very supportive and helpful so they can watch the video and hear all my thought processes for various spots and give me some good feedback. So that's what we're doing. I think most importantly of everything that I've done is we've changed my avatar to Andy Capp, who's who's been a feature in a daily newspaper in the UK for as long, well, all of my lifetime. I think when you're running bad, I think doing anything to change that is massively plus EV, and changing your avatar is clearly one of the most plus EV things you can do right now. Richard Ayoade, who was my previous avatar, has done a sterling job. He's been phenomenal, but I'm afraid I've had to drop him. I've just had to drop him because he's just not been getting the job done lately. And on that point, that's what Richard did to me. We've had this. Fucking horrendous. This is just in probably 500 or something and 600 hands. We've lost, what's that, 17, almost 17 and a half buy-ins. It's been fucking horrendous. And to be honest with you, my play has lacked confidence over that time. I don't think I've made any like massive blunders. Maybe three of those stacks, I've maybe just been a little bit like, YOLO. I remember one with the Queen 10 suited where it folded to me, limped pot on the button. I think I raised to pot and then I did a few more on. Two people went all in. I was like, oh, pot odds, Queen 10 suited, let's go. And obviously I was fucking crushed and didn't get there. There's been a couple of like ambitious flop jams with draws when I knew I had no fold equity. Stuff like flop and open and straight draw to the nuts. But there's been like two people putting huge amounts of money in, so it's very clear up against maybe already a straight or sets and things. There's been a couple of draws where I think, I could get away, especially if I think some of my outs are blocked, which they have been. So yeah, I've made some mistakes, but also just run pretty bad. I've ran like coolers, like I don't know, your kings getting cracked by queens, or running kings into aces, or running ace king into aces. There's been some coolers, and there's been some rank suckouts. Playing last night against a guy, I think he took about maybe 3,000 of these chips. He was just an all-in monkey of the highest order, and I was just like, "Yep, well, we're gonna have to gamble with you, sir." So I was like, basically getting it in pre against him with stuff like ace king, ace queen, ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, pocket jacks plus, king queen suited, all which is way ahead of like the overall range he was shoving. He was like shoving 9-6 suited. King 8. He was just an absolute monkey, and he ran like an absolute fucking dream against me. And he took something like 3,000. I think he took 6 stacks off me in maybe 4 orbits. It was very frustrating to say the least. So that's what a downswing looks like. A 20 buy-in downswing looks like, or whatever it was 17 after yesterday's session. Which is this one where we're on video, and I think we were 5,000 odd or 4,000 odd chips down during the video. We actually made a stellar comeback in that video and turned it right around. I was really positive going into last night's session. This 607 hands based over 2 sessions, and last night in about 300 hands. We did 7,400 chips in, and then this morning we've done like another 1,300 in. It just feels at the moment like I'm never going to win again. Obviously, that's not true, I'm not pleased it happened. That's wrong to say that, but I'm pleased it happened because I was thinking of like if I have another good week, I was thinking of moving up to the 20-cent ante games. Clearly not ready for that yet, and this happening might be a blessing in disguise in the long term because it's going to force me to work on my game a little bit. It's making me realize just how incredibly sick the variance is. Because even if we assume I played bad for some of this, maybe the play bad would be down to here. And then you just got the nonsense that's going and the rest of it. So it's been a nice wake up call for me. I'm disappointed, but I'm not angry. I'm not annoyed very much. These things are going to happen. These are obviously super rare. You're not just going to have 17 buy-in. You're not going to just lose like 17 buy-ins in 600 hands very often. There's just been an extreme mix of coolers, running bad, and then just a few, a handful of bad plays too. It's just all kind of come together for the perfect storm. And who knows? This session may well be a losing session too. But it has forced me to think about a few things about what I think I've been doing wrong. And I think the start of this, not this one here, but this here, from where we've gone from our high point here, which was about 7,000 chips to a low point of 6,000. So it's quite a large downswing now. Would it be 7,000 is 14 buy-ins plus another 6? Yeah, we're looking at like a 22, 24 buy-in downswing now. So it's not insignificant. It stems from overconfidence. I was starting to widen my ranges in like these positions, if you will, these first 2 or maybe 3 positions, doing a little bit more limping, defending a little bit more versus raises, because I think I overestimated just how big my edge was from out of position. It's a very difficult game to play out of position, especially in multi-way pots, because you just have to play so tight in multi-way pots. But at the same time, you do tend to flop equity quite often in these games, where it's kind of difficult to know what the cutoff is between making a tight fold and then overfolding. So in this video, I'm going to be paying particular attention to not being too loose in the first 3 seats, and then being a little bit more loose and aggressive in the last 3 seats, trying to put pressure on people playing too many hands in these seats, because I found firsthand that it's very difficult to play from these seats when people in later position are going to position you post flop and applying lots of pressure to you. So I've put a little bit of thought into it. I spoke to a couple of people about things that I think I've been doing wrong, and hopefully we can find some spots during this video where we can address some of them situations, and hopefully it'll help me articulate my thoughts in the close spots. There's going to be some not close spots that I just have to do things, and if we go broke in a pot, we go broke in a pot. But it's like the spots where, I don't know, we got 9-8 suited under the gun, which is pretty standard limp, I feel, or like a 10-8 suited, but we maybe got 3 players behind us who all have like PFRs of 15 plus, and like in spots like that where I think, well, I need to be limping this hand, but how often am I actually going to get to see a flop for a limp? Probably not that often. So therefore, can we just like limp shove a hand like 10-9 suited against people who are opening too wide? Probably not. Probably want to be going like more linear and like just limp shoving stuff like ace queen, king queen suited, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to try and articulate all of those thoughts. Probably going to play. My wife's due home in 1 hour and 20 minutes, so I'm probably just going to play until she's due home, till 4:15. I'm going to play longer than that, but I'm going to record for that. So, I mean, you already know how long it is, but I'm expecting this to be like another 80 minutes from now before we end playing. It doesn't matter how well it goes, whether we get killed in the first half hour or whatever. We're just going to play for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to try and capture as many thoughts as I can, and I'm going to hope some of you guys who are playing this game and doing well are going to be kind enough to give me feedback on what you see and what you hear me say. So yeah, pause now, and then we'll get some tables up. So we have our tables. We've already had a little bit of success while we've been setting them up. Nothing to get too excited about, but it's always nice to get a little confidence boost here and there. We're not on webcam, by the way, because I don't think it adds anything to the video whatsoever, and it just makes the whole rendering of the videos just take way longer. I don't think it adds enough to make it so much enough of a pain in the ass. Here we're going to overlimp the ace king. We have these 2 guys in this seat and this seat who maybe open a little bit too wide. As it happens, they haven't. We're going for a limp raise there. Now we've flopped top 2 pairs on a pretty coordinated board. Going to go with an overbet here. Plenty of hands I expect will still call versus overbets. Ace queens, flush draws, some straight draws that are out there, good shots. And yeah, we don't want to check here, have it check through. and then have to deal with a lot of turn cards. I mean, I can't think of many turn cards I'm going to want to see here. Almost every turn card that doesn't pair the board makes a straight possible. Obviously, diamonds aren't good. 7 probably wouldn't be too bad, I wouldn't have thought. But if we checked and it checked through, then a 7 might be bad because lots of 7XL opponents can have, especially like this guy on the button. And pleased enough just to take that down there. I think that's another thing I haven't been doing enough of, is like protecting my value hands that are vulnerable. I think my bet sizing's been a little bit off with them. I've been like, in spots like that, for example, I've been too busy wanting to bet like 80% pot to try and get value. And then being forced to deal with like lots of turn cards and lots of aggression and just not know quite what to do. I think just like in there was 12 antis in the pot. I think just collecting the money that's out there or forcing people to pay too much to draw is probably going to be better than what I have been doing. Here we've got top 2 pair. We've got Zach, someone I talk to quite a lot about this game, who's like instantly led out for pot. He limped early, he led out for pot. This is a spot where I think I've been too frisky. I've been jamming spots like this and just running into straights and sets and things, like sets of 8, sets of 10 to jacks are less likely. But like stuff like Queen 9, 9-7. I think when it goes, someone as tight as Zach pots it, and then another regular calls, I think Jack top 2 pair are not going to be in fantastic equity shape. And if we raise and get called, then they're probably going to be in pretty rough shape. As it happens, Zach was bluffing, and this guy was never going to fold pair in a flush draw to us. So even though we had the best hand there, against those 2 combined hands of like 2 overcards and an open ender, plus pair plus flush draw, our Jack 10 was probably not in good shape. But that's the kind of spot I've probably been going a little bit too mad with him. Like, oh, YOLO, top 2 pair, let's go all in. And then, I've been getting called and not been in fantastic shape. Again, that could be a mistake. Someone might turn around and tell me now I can't fold Jack 10 off there. And if you do think I can't fold it there, then please do tell me. But also, if you don't mind, if you're just going to say, oh, you can't fold that there and leave it, I'm like, well, fine, I'm not interested. But if you're going to say you can't fold that and this is why, and then show me some maths, show me some figures, show me some ranges, some equities that tell me why I can't fold it, then I'll be delighted. A new raise here versus Zach's limp. I think Zach effectively limping from the cutoff. His range isn't going to be particularly strong. I don't think he's going to have too many limp raises from there. Well, we've got a pretty damn bad flop to see on with our hand, and it's not great for our range either. We're just not going to have any like sets or 2 pairs there on this board. Our range is going to be like it looks like, just like high cards and over pairs. Zach pots a turn and just nothing much we can do. It's just not a good board to continue. Zach's a good enough player to realise that I'm not going to have very many strong hands on that board. Overlimp the Jack 10 off here. I would probably try to raise and isolate with a Jack 10 suited, and then just if we get limp raised, probably call it off. So if this was a Jack 10 of hearts or clubs, probably would have made that like 12 antis there. And if I got limp jammed on, I probably would have just said, fuck it, call. Because Jack 10 suited performs pretty damn well. That could be a mistake. Maybe Jack 10 suited should just be an over limp all the time. And then, then my raising of it would be a mistake. So again, that's another spot if anyone wants to comment on it. Jack 10 off there, always play for a limp. Jack 10 suited, sometimes think about raising. These are other spots. I actually won an enormous pot yesterday, set mining with pocket 7s. I'm not sure if these should be called. Because if we get raised behind, we have to fold. If we make a set, then good. But now this is a prime example of now. Should I just fold this pocket 9s pre to the open? I don't know. Genuinely don't know. And now do we call? Do we now call? I guess we have to call 60 hope to flop a set, but it feels like now we're just bleeding chips. This is what happens when your confidence goes. You just don't know anymore. I think maybe this should just be an open fold to the raise. Now I think, well, we've got decent implied odds. Should we flop a set? So I put another booking 60 chips in, and therefore we just maybe now we have to check fold nines, and we could have just saved 18 antes by open folding pre. And again, I don't know. That's where my confidence is just a little bit down at the moment. With all these like kind of weak-ish but reasonable implied odds hands. We're not going to risk. No, we are going to limp the aces. Hope someone raises behind us. We've got these two guys who like raising but haven't, on this particular session, done much raising yet so far. This is just about a limp. Again, another close one. Probably should be a limp, I think, but I mean, this was a slam dunk open limp 6 days ago. Now I'm questioning myself. So when you started to question yourself on stuff that you thought was standard, that's when you know that you're having some confidence issues. And now we flop a pair with lots of backdoor stuff going on. Don't think our hand's strong enough to bet, but if we check and someone pots it, are we then obliged to call and see a turn? I mean, I guess we are. We now add a flush draw. We might have the best hand with the jack. We probably certainly have the best draw, and given the flop check through, gonna like bet here to just like deny equity to stuff like, well, I don't know what, just some ace highs, king highs. I don't really know. I mean, it just felt like it was a spot where we could bet for very thin value / equity denial. Knowing that if we got called, we good chance we were behind, but we know we have a chance to suck out. We're just not going to be interested with the aces here. Our limp raise plan was foiled. Getting a walk with kings. I mean, come on, boys. Jack 9 suited here is going to be an isolation raise if anyone limps. Now this guy's raised under the gun. Again, feels like it should be a slam dunk call. His range is likely to be quite strong raising under the gun. But in position against someone who's playing way too many hands, it feels like we shouldn't be folding these types of hands in position. He now c-bets half pot. And it doesn't feel like we should be folding too often to a half pot bet here on this flop. He's only c-betting 40%, but we have some backdoor equity and we can attack turn checks. So I'm going to call. It's a pretty good turn card. Now we're hoping he doesn't bet big because we don't have a lot of fold equity. Now I just think he's going to have a hand like, at best, he's going to have a hand like pocket aces, pocket kings. He's going to be at the top of his range that we have reasonable equity against. I'm just going to go ahead and just shove here. If he calls us with like pocket aces, pocket kings, etc., then we need to get there. But having him fold stuff like ace, king, ace, queen, king, queen, all those types of things seems like it's a nice idea. Ten-9 suited. I think, again, from this set, I was going to open raise. Now we're just going to call. No, we're not. Now we're going to fold. King jack suited on the button. We could check back, but I'm not going to. I'm going to look to bump it up a little bit and try and put lots and lots of pressure. The problem with this is that you're always scared that the limp jam's coming. And then how well does king jack suited do against a limp jam in range? Probably not great. But we have flopped the nuts, which is pleasant. And we want to try and get this in over 2 streets. So I think we're going to small overbet this flop and 180. And then give ourselves a trivially easy turn rip. Just hope he's up there with like an ace-x type hand. And not in there with like an 8-9 type hand. If he's limp calling a hand like ace-jack there, for example, he's going to have problems. knowing how often he should be defending his ace jack, etc. I like these types of whale wars. It's always amusing to see what they turn up with. Checks back on the turn, which means neither player's going to be super nutted here. Well, on the turn, not super nutted when it checks through. Especially not this fellow. 9-8 off. Now, Zach is a big fan of limping this hand under the gun, and I get that. Don't have much of an issue with it. King Jack of suit. I'm going to try to achieve isolation with it, I think. Against someone who's playing very wide ranges. Yeah, Zach is a big fan of like 9-8 off under the gun and what have you. It's clearly the bottom of his range for doing stuff like that, but yeah. I'm yet to be convinced. Ace-7 suited. No. That could be way too tight. I'm going to fold the King Jack over here. I just find at the moment that's a hand that I'm not good enough to play from that position really. And certainly not when I'm on a confidence recovery mission. I think there's just open folding hands that like you're not super confident with is going to be completely fine until such a point where you feel your confidence returning and you can start adding some hands back into your range. 9-10 off again. Many people will be limping this. I'm just going to open fold it at the moment. Queen. We're going to go with a limp. Again, this is a completely fine limp, but just wanting to avoid some of the more like marginal limps. It's going to be towards the bottom of a limping range. So I'm just going to try and be cutting the bottom of my ranges out in early position seats at the moment, whilst trying to expand my ranges in later position, because that just feels like it's a common sense thing to do. We limped the queens. We did not pick up a raise anywhere. I mean, a queen's even like a limp get it in these games. I mean, it can't be terrible, but is it super plus EV? Who knows? Someone said to me the other day that Jacks is basically just like a middle pair in this game. So if Jacks is like a middle pair, then Queens isn't that far removed from that. I think the Queen 10 off, we're going to go with an over limp. Ace Jack suited, it's going to be a limp. And then this dude just does this, which is why I'm not mega keen on like limping these sorts of hands, just to try and like flop gin, because I think too often you're just like throwing an extra 5 chips away. Ace Jack suited here. I'm going to go with a check raise, I think. I think we're going to go with a check raise. Worried Zach could have a 6 on the button, or this fellow. Most 6x is going to turn up very much in late position in these games. Like Jack doesn't check. Zach doesn't check back a 6 on the turn. On the flop, sorry. He just no way he just checks a 6 through. And given he's the most likely person to have one, we're actually just going to try and bluff this turn with an overbet, knowing that if we do get called, we can make a flush on the river, which will be the nuts. I think, like, definitely for the last few days, my post-op sizings haven't been doing anywhere near enough to generate the amount of folds we really want to be trying to generate in these games. I went through a little spell of just like stabbing pretty small on a lot of flops in position, and it worked okay. Because I think usually when people are checking in this game, they're not super strong, because people just see flops, they flop strong hands, and then they just get scared of all the bad things that can possibly happen to them. So I don't think there's like a huge amount of trapping in this game from out of position players. Obviously there's going to be some. 7-9 off. This is just a standard complete. Don't like it because it's just 7-9 off. But we're getting 10-1 pre-flop, especially with this guy on the button who isn't that aggressive. We just need to complete this. I think most of my problems are coming from my early position, like limping, and then knowing what to call with when people like this are just like open ripping, or people like that just open ripping versus limps. It's like, well, how far down my range do I need to go with my calls? And without knowing exactly what ranges these guys are using for their open ripping, it's difficult. I mean, I've seen all kinds of fucking crazy things. People just like, some people just love to open their pocket eights and like, fuck it, I'm all in. I mean, if people are doing that with pocket eights, then we need to be calling exceptionally wide. If people are only doing it with like queen plus, ace king, maybe ace queen suited, well then we need to be very cautious with what we do it with. And the problem we have on PP Poker is it's hard to build up like notes on people as to what they're doing in certain spots with certain frequencies and sizes, because you're quite simply you're very limited by how many characters you can use. So it's difficult to get notes on people in order to help make decisions in them against close spots. 10-9 off, just a trivial overlimp here. Flop, middle pair, not much else. Another odd spot here. I think we need to call with the 9-7 suited against someone who's just like min-opened under the gun. Or we're a long way from the button. Actually, no, for some reason I thought the button was there and I was going to call. We're a long way from the button. Zach loves stabbing these boards. There's nothing we're going to be able to do with 10-9. Here's Kieran, one of my online friends. He's going to make life difficult because the man loves attacking. Played with him a little bit this morning, and to be frank, Kieran, and I know you'll probably be watching this at some point, you're a pain in the cunt when you're to my left. You're a real pain in the cunt. I think we're going to try and buy pre-flop position with this 8-9 suited. Not want to limp there and have one of these guys. I mean, I think this is probably going to need to be a call against someone this wild. And that once we put like this many chips in, I'm going to call 282 to win 432. So I'm guessing it's just going to be a call and hope. That's a straight. Not proud of that one, but we'll take it. I think once we choose to like try and buy pre-flop position with that hand versus someone who's playing as wide as he is, we just need to YOLO it. Kieran's made a very good observation about this table. It is fucking terrible. So we might well leave it ourselves in a moment. Again, we've gone for a limp race. This table, we've gone for a limp race 3 or 4 times now with these two guys, and they haven't accommodated us once. I think we're going to leave this table because it is pretty diabolical. And let's see what else is out there. Pull the lobby over to the middle. There's Barry, looking as cheerful as ever. Just going to open fold the 6s. That's the table we just left. There's an open seat here. See what's going on. It's better. It's better. Got Tamara. We're going to proper squeeze this up on the button. It's like, what, 15 antes? And clearly not fold if somebody jams. Clearly never folding this to a jam once we make it 15 antes pre. Do we want to stab here? What's his limp call range look like under the gun? He's limp jamming kings. He's limp jamming ace king. I mean, we block sets of 10s. I think we're going to go with like a pretty small stab here. Ace queen, what does that do? It's got like ace queen, ace jack, stuff like that, I guess. Versus this guy who's wild. I think ace queen just needs to be a rip. Queen 10 off, I'm just going to muck it. I am aware, by the way, that I am probably, well, definitely playing too tight. But given the mission at the moment isn't to like maximize EV in every single spot, that should always be our mission long term. But right now it's just mission, regain confidence, play a bit tighter, play those ranges as well as you can, and then when we get back on the right track, play a few more hands pre-flop. Having an awful lot of limper race spots denied today so far. Feels like a good turn. So we somehow got the 9-6. I'm going to just check fold the top pair here when this very nitty player bets. We'll try a limp. We have an open ender here. It's unlikely that we're already beat. Sorry, very unlikely he has ace 10. But I'm just going to fold. And here we are going to make it 12 antes to go. We were in good shape against the 10-8. It's for certain. On this board, we just pot it, and then if he's outflopped us, then we just go broke. I think with the aces over here. There's no straights out there possible yet. Shouldn't have many two pairs. 8-7 might be the only one he has. If he flopped a set, then good for him. We can't fold. He has the queen and the 9, and of course he gets there. Lots of limpers here, so we're going to make it 15 antes. Hopefully it looks like we're steaming too after the last hand. Let the ace jack go against the guy with the 6% pre-flop raise. We can go just a bit less than pot here because the pot's already super bloated. And we're going to be going for 3 raises in a row. Folding this to a jam. Maybe not if he jams now, because there's some extra money in the pot. I'm not sure how I'm going to respond if he jams. Let's just hope he doesn't. He doesn't, and we flop the nuts, which is rather pleasant. So what's in the pot? We've got an SPR of like 3 and a bit. Probably just want to go big here. Try a limp with the 7-8. 3-bet shove the kings. Get a banana thrown at us. Run into aces. Drawing dead. Oh, we don't need to chop up at least. Ace king. Going to be a limpy wimpy woo. Hope someone raises. And they do. Let's go. Oh, everyone's at it. Probably not in good shape here. Oh, yeah. 7-8. 7-8. What on earth is going on there? I mean, that's some guy who's just probably lost his mind, I would imagine. Probably just lost his mind. Here we get a pretty diabolical turn. We're going to check back. We get an okay river. We fill up, but the flush gets there. A small bet and get called. Ace jack off on the button. This guy's probably opening a bit too wide. Don't know whether to 3-bet this or whether to just call. I think we'll just call. And 2 easy limps with the shitty offsuit 10-8. Gut shot here, which I think we'll have a little stab with. Fold middle pair here. King jack off versus this dude. Think it's going to be a call. Ace jack off versus Zach's under the gun limp. I think we're just going to over limp. Easy bet with our top pair. And take a stab here with a gut shot to the nuts. Turn a pair. You can have stuff like king, queen. Don't want to bet, because if we bet and he jams, it's a shitty spot. Still don't think I want to bet. Could be a bit nitty. Could be very nitty, in fact. Just like not that in love with just one pair in these games, especially on that run out. But yeah, that could easily be a pretty big mistake. But I just felt like the pot was at a size where if we made a reasonable bet on the turn and he jammed, we'd probably be forced to call and would expect to be in pretty rough shape. I'm really struggling like how to play like medium strength hands out of position at the moment. Really struggling with that, and that's as much a confidence issue as anything else. Ace Jack's going to be a limp shove against either of these two gentlemen. I think I'm even more incentivized to shove now. And we take it down without a fight, which is just fine by me. At folding the ace 10 here. at this guy. Winner 10. Fish 3. And I'm going to give him a pink tag because he's playing 60/10. I think we're just going to play the Queen Jack for a limp. And we could toy with the idea of raising 2, which is what I was doing. Pick up a gutter ball, so we're going to have a stab. I don't expect to get raised here very often. Calls, and the river's a total brick. We're not going to bluff this river, we're just going to give up. He doesn't fold any ace-x now. We've had so many limp raise fails on this table, and the one time we did get a limp raise in, we got ran down by the 7-8. Going off the idea that this guy's a good regular, but that could be very wrong. Here we're going to go with a limp raise again against either of these two people. Limp raise fail yet again. Really want to give any naked diamond in his button range a free look at a turn. Zach's all in. Good luck, Zach. If you get called. He does, and he's in fine shape. No, he's got to dodge some. King's no good anymore to this fellow. Zach snags a big one. Arsenal, eh? We have an Arsenal fan in there. Well, might not be an Arsenal fan, he might be a fan of artillery. It's way more likely he's a fan of the football team. Queen 10. Calling versus opens, and raising versus limps, and raising versus button. Calls, we get a miserable flop, but I think we're allowed to stab. We're not allowed to call versus this though. We have a gut shot. And again, we're going to have a little stab. And we're going to have a little stab down here too. Oh, just noticed he's got a really short stack. Don't like my C-bet anymore. Got away with it. Naughty Reggie. Ace Queen here. I think we just go with the rip. Hope nobody wakes up behind us. Tricky spot because there's not a lot to win with our rip. But there's 3 people to go behind us who could all wake up with hands they want to play. We're going to lose this one. Don't need to top our stack up though. Quite painless them ones. I can live with that. I can live with it. Here with the King 10 off on the button, I think we're going to be looking to call. Closing the action. Oh well, I was about to start talking about our gut shot and backdoor flush draw, but given this dude's just gone all in for 3.5x pot, then fine. 9-8 seems rather ambitious. Gets there though. That was ambitious. He keeps betting small. We're just going to call. I mean, I have no idea what this sizing's all about, but we'll just keep calling. If he sized up here, I think we'll probably fold. No, we can't fold to this. If he's got a jack, then hallelujah for him. His sizing is just ridiculous. Okay. 8-9 suited on the button. I think we go with a larger ace here and then just cry if we get shoved on and call it off, I guess. With the ace queen, we're going to bump it up. It's a truly abysmal flop for 8-9 suited. Truly abysmal flop. We're just done with the hand, I guess. With the ace queen, we have a nice bet situation. Almost certainly not folding. I think we probably just rip this turn. And we give up with the 8-9 age to go. We gave up with the 8-9 a long time ago. Queen Jack, we're going to come in for a limp. Flop, pretty good. Be a toss of actually Kieran make it like 70 here. He doesn't though. He's this guy with his tiny bets again. And struggle to believe this guy's going to be a winning player long term using this type of sizing. It's a flop we can use. And we're allowed to slow play here too. Given our hand is completely invulnerable to anything happening. We do pick up the bet. Won't be raising just yet. If he bets big on the turn, I think we'll probably raise small to set up a river shove. Okay, he's just going to shove for us, which is easily the easiest call of my life. Never had an easier call in my entire life. I'm a huge fan of his line there. Well, I'm a huge fan of it from my bankroll perspective, but from a theoretical perspective, I think his shove's pretty fucking terrible. Guess we have to flick the 5 chips in with the 10-7 off. And then fold like a little bitch. About 10 more minutes, so we're going to wrap it up. The boys are gambling. It's seeing things like this that like kind of gets my gambling juices going. When I see guys that are just like in there arsing around on those boards with those hands, putting lots of chips in, I'm like, well, we just need to have a bit more gambling than perhaps I've had. But then, yeah, it hasn't been working out too well. I think we can just wait for some cleaner spots than just like there, for example. Say I had pocket jacks there on that 10-9-9 board or whatever it was on that last board. What was it? On 10-8-8. If I had pocket jacks facing that action, I probably would just have. Well, I probably would have called, I guess, is what I'm saying. But I think we can just fold a lot of those spots and just. I think we can find a lot cleaner spots than that. Top and bottom pair here isn't. It's not making my dick throb too much. Can't fold just yet, but far from loving the situation. A limp call against Zach here with the King 10 suited. Zach's range for isolating from the button will be pretty damn strong. But he will have some stuff in there like 10-9 suited, 10 Jack suited, and what have you. Pretty awful board for us to continue on, which at least it makes it easy. For when Zach C-bets. I mean, I suspect he's going to have quite a lot of air in his ranges using this size, but also some strong stuff too. But it doesn't really matter because we just have King 10 suited, which is a complete ball of spit on that board. It's a spot where I've been overplaying a lot lately. Things like pocket jacks. They just offer not much playability post flop, so we're just going to set mine with them. And you're going to see an overcard a hell of a lot of the time, like this, and then just not know how to proceed. So I think we're going to be not as excited to see jacks as I used to be. I'm going to pot it here on the Queen, Queen 9 with our open ender. I've certainly been overplaying like small pairs too, like racing with them sometimes, limping with them, just looking to set mine. And again, they have very little playability post flop, so I'm going to be pitching pocket 8s, pocket 9s, things like that. Go for a check call here with our top pair plus some like jack for the nuts, heart for a draw. I know Zach likes stabbing a lot in these spots. We might have to be a hero against Zach here. I don't have to be a hero anymore. Don't think Zach's going to bet this turn very often. He does though. I'm going to take a chance on a club coming off here and just call. Why not throw some shit at Zach? Why not throw some shit at him? Certainly going to be defending the 10-8 suited on the button. Interesting. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. So we have a double gut shot and a flush draw. You just got to go on it. Just got to go, I'm afraid. Too much equity. Yeah, we'll run it 3 times with you, kid. You win the first one. I win the second one. And you win the third one. No idea what this 5-chip bet's all about, but we're out of position to many players, so we're not going to raise. I'm going to peel here with our good shot against Zach. Could raise on that dryer board. Could raise it. The queen can't be good for Zach. He doesn't bet much queen X on the flop. We go with an overbet. Probably. Well, it's probably a slam dunk limp, but given I'm currently trying not to play too many of these types of hands out of position, that's why I was like, not sure. I think it's a very, very, very standard limp. 2 kings over here. We like that. Pair plus an open ender. Nothing to the nuts though. Nothing to the nuts. So we've got like a really weak made hand. Pretty weak draw. Now we get there, we need to bet. Board pairs, flush gets there, we lose to king 10. This is too thin to bet for value. And we can only call if you bet small. Chop chop. And this guy, every time he's raised, he's shown up with an absolute monster. And now we're just going to set fire to 20 chips. wasn't really concentrating on this hand. I was too busy sweating Zach's unfortunate all-in on this table. And bloody hell, doesn't the time fly? We're about to wrap it up, gentlemen, and any ladies that are watching. So, who thinks we've had a winning session? Who thinks we've had a losing session? Who thinks we've had a break-even session? I think we've probably won small. We were stuck 8,700 for the day coming into this session. Oh, we won 600. And we had that where we could have done really well with that ace king, where we had like an 1,800 chip pot or whatever it was that we failed to take down. I know I've played too tight in this video. I'm not going to pretend I've played well, but I feel like I've made a small stride on the road to recovery, which is right now all that I'm really looking to do. Just like stop the bleeding, start rebuilding the bankroll, start rebuilding my confidence, and then, you know, just hope some good things start to happen. That's the short-term plan. Any plans to move up in limits in the near future have rightly been thrown completely out of the window for now. And that's going to be something we're going to have to look at doing. Perhaps see how we get on by the end of February. See how we're doing. We've got like 18 days to go to the end of the month, 17 days. So yeah, we'll take a view on that later in the month. Perhaps put it off indefinitely, who knows. But we'll leave it there for now. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Please, if you are a 6+ player, please do, if you want to, of course, get involved in the comments either on Facebook or beneath the video on YouTube, because I really would value some feedback from some experienced players on what I've talked about. You know, if you want to tell me I played too tight in this video, that's fine. I already know that. You can tell me that, but it's kind of like, yeah, I know. I'm going to set mine here on the bottom with the 6s. Oh, we flopped a set. This guy doesn't go with his all-in, so he's not shitting his pants about protecting his hand. I'm going to go slight overbet here. Ace, king, king, queen, jack 10. All those hands going to be able to continue versus an overbet. We take it down. So yeah, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Not much we can all do at the moment. I guess we're all locked up. Excuse me. But yeah, make the most of it. Make what you can of it. Have fun. Stay safe and look after yourself and all of those around you. Be well, everybody. Take care and bye-bye for now.